Hi guys, and welcome to Forking Allotment. Today we're going to be doing our October sowing and growing guide. Thank you to everybody who has subscribed. We have 268 subscribers on the channel now, and everybody who's followed me on Twitter, Instagram, and also followed my Facebook page. Again, if you are not subscribed, please do click that subscription button, and please do click on the bell so that you get my videos direct to your inbox. And you'll get a notification when I upload a video. So thank you very much for that, and I shall see you all after this short introduction. Right guys, so October sowing and growing guide. So autumn's well underway now, and October's usually full of chilly mornings and spooky nights, perfect for Halloween at the end of the month. The weather puts you in mind of a hot cup of tea or a bowl of soup, and if you're an allotmenteer, a lot of digging. Remember that the clocks go back at the end of this month, so try and get in as much work as you can while we still have the daylight, before the dark winter nights arrive, or in the dark winter days. So what we're going to be sowing outdoors this month. So your overwintered broad beans can go in from the middle of October, so around about the 15th for this month. We'll be putting our overwintering broad beans in. They are very hardy, but if you've got clay or quite a heavy soil which is prone to waterlogging, it can be a bit of a risk. You might have to, you can either risk it, or you could wait until the weather gets a little better in spring and put the broad beans in then. They can be done again early next year, because they don't like being waterlogged. Your last sowing of your beet leaf or perpetual spinach can be made this month as well, and you may be able to fit in some Chinese cabbage as well. October is also your last chance to plant your Japanese overwintering onion sets. Remember not to plant too many, because they don't store as well as your spring planted onion sets. And do remember to net them as well, or cover them with a cloche, because pigeons really seem to love them. I had a bit of an issue with pigeons that ate all the tops off of my onions, my summer onions, so they didn't actually develop very well. You can plant your garlic this month. Generally it's a November job, but you could get them in early to just in case the weather turns nasty and doesn't allow you to get them in November. I was doing a experiment with shop brought garlic. I'm not going to be putting it into the ground, guys. I'm going to be using containers, so hopefully that should negate or combat any issues with white rot. And rust can just happen anyway, no matter what you do, especially towards the end of the growing season. So it's just something that we're going to try out. We're going to keep them away from the rest of the onions and rootstock. So your general tasks for this month: keep your weeds in check. Don't think that just because they're going to go dormant that you can just leave them, because as soon as the warm weather in spring hits, now we're going crazy. So just keep your weeds in check, keep hoeing and keep on top of them. If you've got Brussels sprouts, just check that they're firm in the ground, and maybe earth them up a few inches, or stake them up so that if the wind does rock them, it's not going to break the small hairs on the roots, which actually bring in the nutrients and pull up the nutrients. If you've got any with yellowing leaves, you can water them in with high nitrogen feed around each plant that's got the issue. Any other brassicas that have got yellow leaves, just remove the leaves because they're not serving any purpose to the plant, and just basically isn't going to help the plant in any way. Just remove any yellowing leaves. But if you've got yellowing leaves on your Brussels sprouts, then give them high nitrogen feed and see if that sorts the problem out. If you have green manure crops like mustard that is mature now, you can dig it in. So cut it off with a pair of shears to about 30 centimeters from the ground, and then compost the bulk what you've taken off, and then dig the rest into the ground, and leave it to overwinter. As your beds become vacant, dig them over. With heavy clay soils, just leave the clods unbroken on the top, basically. So then any the winter frosts will freeze them and thaw them, and that freezing and thawing process will break down the heavy soil, and it will help to break them up, so you'll have a fine tilth in spring. Spread manure or compost over the surface, and leave it on the top for the worms to work it into the ground, and apply lime if needed, dependent on what you're going to be growing there next season. So, digging over. October and November are good months to be digging over. The deeper and more fertile your soil is, the better it's going to be for your crops the better crops you're going to have next year. So double digging is a good method for this. So basically what you'll be doing is digging a trench, taking the soil out of that trench, and you'll fork over the bottom of the trench, apply a generous amount of organic matter, kitchen scraps, compostable kitchen scraps and stuff like that, and then you'll basically dig the next trench into the first trench to cover it over with soil, and you'll carry on that process until you've done your bed that you are digging. I do a video on that one as well. Light deep soils don't actually benefit from annual digging, so sowing a green manure here will be better, depending on if you have a heavy soil or a light soil. Again, with heavy soils you may benefit from sowing a green manure, which would help break up the heavy soil, but then again you could, as I said, just dig it over and leave the clods on the surface of the bed. So now is a good time to concentrate on your compost making. The last bulk of your foliage should be available to build a proper heap. So empty one bin into another, layering with lime and nitrogen rich manure as it builds to ensure the decomposition gets off to a good start. So basically what we would be doing is using green, browns, manures, and possibly a sprinkling of lime if it's needed. We also want to be considering where we want our runner beans next season, and then we can start digging a trench, lining it with newspaper about 6 sheets thick, before adding compostable kitchen scraps and waste, lawn clippings and stuff that you can stuff that's compostable, go straight into the bottom of the trench, and then cover it with the soil, and that will give us a rich base for our runner beans next season. Fruit. So this month is a good time to prune your black currants, red currants, and gooseberries. Your raspberries and your blackberries need cutting back, tying in, etc. And these early winter months are also a great time to plant new fruit bushes. So get some new stock in and get some new fruit bushes in. Make sure that your ground is well prepared. Add a good 500 grams of bone meal per plant to the to the planting hole and fork it in. This will slowly release nitrogen over the next year or two, giving you stronger plants earlier in the season. You don't have to wait a long time to get stronger plants that way. So 500 grams of bone meal into the bottom of the hole, fork it in, and then plant your plant, your bush or your tree or whatever into the hole, and that will give you a slow release nitrogen feed. So what can we be harvesting this month? So any remaining main crop potatoes should be ready now, if you haven't already lifted them. So when the haulm or leaves and the stalk start to dry, cut them off. Leave the potatoes in for probably 2 to 3 weeks, maybe 2 weeks. And this will let the skins set, and it will hopefully prevent any stray potato blight, which is in the leaves, from spreading or infecting the tubers. Then wait for a sunny day, a dry sunny day, and dig them up. Brush off the excess soil, let them dry off before putting them into either a hessian or a sort of paper sack, and then store them in a frost-free dark shed. They should keep then over the winter. Last, your beans should be picked now. So compost the foliage, but leave the roots in the ground to act as a fertilizer, because the nodules on the roots will actually contain nitrogen, which will help to feed your following crop, which will probably be your brassicas if you're following a crop rotation plan. Main crop carrots now, they should be dug up to be stored in sand or peat throughout the winter, but leave your parsnips in the ground, as they'll be sweeter after a frost. Drumhead cabbages that are ready now should be harvested. They'll keep remarkably well in a frost-free shed, but be aware that there may be some slugs lurking within the leaves. So sprinkling the outside with salt will deter them from eating through your cabbages during the winter when they're being stored. Sorry, you can harvest salsify and scorzonera. Salsify is known as vegetable oysters, and properly cooked it can be a gourmet's delight. Any green tomatoes on outdoor plants can come in now before the frost gets to them. You can make green tomato chutney, or you can ripen them indoors. Green tomatoes actually store quite well in cool conditions and slowly ripen, or you could hasten the ripening by popping them in a tray on a sunny windowsill with a ripe banana. So polytunnel and greenhouse in October. Sowing into beds. You should have plenty of room, so sow any salad crops, any winter salad crops now. Planting into your beds. Garlic and onions, we can do garlic and onions within the greenhouse and polytunnel as well as outside. So they can be planted now. And any of your sowings from last month that you've sown into modules can now be planted into the beds as well. So sowing into modules or pots. So we'll be doing, there's not a lot to do this month on this side. We have Claytonia, Chervil, coriander, dill, and your oriental brassicas such as your Mizuna, Mibuna, Rocket, stuff like that. They can be sown 5 seeds per cell. Spring onions, bunching spring onions or bunching scallions, can be sown 10 seeds per cell. And then your spinach, which is your annual spinach, not perpetual spinach, your annual spinach, which is your normal type of spinach, can be sown 4 seeds per cell. So what can be harvesting in the greenhouse and polytunnel this month? So in October, summer crops are starting to fizzle out and quality declines, but there are some we can still be harvesting from the polytunnel and greenhouse. So aubergines, basil, calabrese, coriander, Chinese cabbage, courgettes, cucumbers, dill, Florence fennel, French beans, lettuce. Lettuce is pretty much an all year round crop if you've got a polytunnel and greenhouse. Melons, any oriental brassica salads, pak choi, parsley, peppers, salads, scallions or spring onions, spinach, and your remaining tomatoes. So polytunnel maintenance, polytunnel greenhouse maintenance for October. So you want to be hardly watering at all this month, probably once a week at the most. But I would probably just keep an eye on what how the weather is, because if we have some warmer days, we may need to water twice a week, depending on how warm the day is. Ventilate as much as possible, so try and have the doors open when you're at the allotment, or if you can, have the doors open when you're away from the allotment as well. Open all the windows in your polytunnel or greenhouse, and try to keep the ventilation open. Clear all remaining summer crops. Don't leave any crop residues, as any of the related pests would be carried over to the next crop, including and diseases as well. So start chitting your first early potatoes indoors at home. I would suggest, rather than maybe doing it in your shed, do it at home. Continue harvesting your winter salads. Prepare soil for your early spring crops by incorporating compost or composted manures into the soil. This is in your beds within your greenhouse or polytunnel. And then tidy and clean a tunnel or greenhouse. Wash the plastic glass, clean and tidy up any trays and pots. Clean your tools. So clean your tools and rub boiled linseed oil into the handles of any wooden handled tools, and a mixture of old oil and diesel to get rid of rust on any metal blades. Also order your seed potatoes, onion sets and garlic for next season. We don't want to be getting to January and thinking, oh, I haven't ordered my seeds now yet. So get them in, get everything ordered ready for January onwards, and make sure that you've got enough seeds for next season. So yeah, that's everything from me, guys. Again, thank you for watching. Please do like, comment and subscribe on the video if you've gotten this far. I know it's a bit of a longer video today, I do apologise for that, but there's quite a lot to cover this month. Yeah, as I said, we have 268 subscribers so far, so thank you very much to everybody who's subscribed to the channel. I will be doing some more videos during the autumn and winter months. As I said, we have the garlic comparison video. I will do a video on doing your runner bean trenches, and I'll probably also do a video on double digging, because I have a few beds that need digging over anyway, along with doing some plot tours as well during the winter as well. So yeah, everything that I could cover there has been covered. I won't waffle on anymore anyway. I shall see you guys all in the next video. Don't forget to go on to my Instagram, Facebook or Twitter, and please do follow me there as well. They are all up here at the top. Also visit Sow Seeds up here as well, and get any of your seeds that you need for next season. But I shall see you all in the next video, thank you very much, and please do have a good day, and I shall try to do more videos this month. Thank you, and I shall see you all soon.